Hey, what's up guys, it's me, Spectrar here in another video. This time I'm going to show you how to put your own ship into the game. As of recently, and I say recently, it's been a while. This video is taking me a while to get up, I'm sorry about that. But the Steam Workshop happened, so you can go on and you can see what other people have made and add it to your game. But in this video, I wanted to talk about putting your own designs, or possibly designs that you've seen somewhere else, into the game. And I'm going to go through tools that the developers have given us and basically show you the most basic, easiest way that I have found to do this without having any, existing tools at your disposal already. And this page right here that we have up right now, I will link in the description below. It has all the resources we need. So first off, we need to go to this and get John's tool, and you just download it. It's modtool.rar, and you unzip it. I already have it, so I'm not actually going to do it. John's tool, or however you're going to say that. It's basically the mod tool to help you make the designs. It's super useful. I'm so glad they made it. Next thing we need to do is we need to click on this link, Guide to Creating and Sharing Custom Ships. So if we click on that, it takes us to this page. And before we get too far, we scroll down to Suggested Tools, and I suggest you get this paint.net. It's a little image editor that's really useful, and it works well, and it's free. So I suggest you get it, and if you like it a lot, you can donate to it. It says right here, or right here. So, if you like it, I suggest donating something just to kind of help those guys out. But if not, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyways, now that you have that, you have a couple options. You can either make your own ship, or you can take one off the internet and kind of make it off of that. And so for this, we're going to take one off the internet. So if you go to like Google Images and you Google top-down starships, you get a lot of really cool, let's not make that my homepage, a really cool array of ships that you can do. Maybe to help you give you some ideas or things that you can kind of copy for now until you make up your own. But for now, we're actually going to do this one right here. I found this one and I think it looks kind of cool. And I've already downloaded it. Essentially what you need to do is just right click, save image, and then save it somewhere you want. And I'm going to show you where I saved it right here. So we need to be able to get to the game folder. If you're running it through the standalone client, you should know where your all your files are. But if not, you go to where your Steam folder is located on your hard drive. You go to Steam Apps, Common, scroll down to Zero Files, and then you're in the folder with all your files. Shouldn't be too hard to find. If you need to, you just do a file search for Zero Files, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Anyways, what we need to do is we need to go into Profiles, and I created a folder called Fighter, and that's where I saved this image. Now, if you want to make your own and you want to reference something, you need to go into the game and create a new profile. Like when you go to design your own ship and test it, not in the campaign, and you'll find that here. So you can come into our full build, and you'll see our full build ship with all the stuff, and you can essentially grab this picture right here and copy off of that. But we're going to be working in the fighter one. So now we bring up that paint.net that we had downloaded. An update for paint is available. Let's install when I exit. I don't want to install right now. So essentially what you can do is you can take this image, drag and drop into here, open image, and now you got your image right here. Now, as of right now, this image is too big. And the way I kind of gauge it is that if I go into another profile and for instance do full build and drag and drop it in here, we open this image and it opens in another tab, and we can kind of zoom in, and you can zoom in by either clicking on this magnifying glass, or you can press and hold Control and then scroll. And you can come in and you can kind of say, okay, that's how pixelated it needs to look to be that big, is kind of how I'm gauging it. It's very freehanding, I guess you can say, is how I'm doing it. Not very precise, but that's okay. This is just to get you started, but you can kind of look and see how pixelated it is when you scroll in to kind of see what it needs to be like. So if we come in here, let's first get rid of all this white background, because as you can see in here, there's no background on here. So a trick that I found is that I grab the magic wand, click on it, and then I click in this area, and it actually selects all this area except for the image. And then I can come with my eraser, and let's change the brush width to like 35. Actually, you know what? Let's make this whole thing bigger. Here we go. Let's change our brush width to like 100, and we come in here and erase. Now let's zoom in and make sure we got every bit of white that we can. And that's actually looking pretty good. So if I come back into here, yeah, that gets rid of it now. I believe so. I don't have to like deselect or anything like that. Okay. Click somewhere else, that gets rid of it. And you can kind of see that everything is erased off. Now, if you want to make sure everything's clean, because it's kind of hard to see with this background, what you can do is you can go into layers, add a new layer, and then over here in the bottom you got a layer, and you drag it below, have that layer selected, get a paint bucket and pick some really contrasting color, like, I don't know, blue, and then paint bucket behind it, and you can see all of the little flaws that happen. And so what you can do now is change your brush width to just 1 pixel, and you can come in here and zoom in, and then you can, let's not do that, select the right image again, and then come in here and start erasing. As you can see, I kind of erased some stuff behind there, which is a little bit of a problem. But you can come in here and kind of touch up the image as you want. Get rid of maybe some of this white space that you no longer want. Essentially, just come up here and touch it up as much as you want, which is going to be all preference based. And I totally just messed all of that up because I wasn't paying attention. So I'm not going to touch it up too much. I'm okay that it looks not great, essentially. So I'm going to get rid of this layer by selecting it and then clicking this red X. And now we need to resize it. Yeah, so we're going to click this arrow right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold shift, grab onto this corner, and kind of shrink down until we kind of see the size we want. So we're up here, and it seems like as soon as you go down to a certain size, it'll stay that way. So kind of, we're going to go right there. Now, if I try to drag it back out, it's going to stay pixelated. So if you need to undo that, Control Z to undo, or edit, undo. So now we can scroll into here, and we can say, okay, that kind of looks like the amount of pixelation we want from what we've seen in our other image. It'll hopefully be a lot smaller than this, and it kind of looks like it will be. And so that's just how our ship's now going to look. Now, if we now, geez, come on. There we go. I'm having some troubles. Now, if we click on canvas size, we can, actually, hold on. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way to do this. Resize. I thought there was a, hold on. I'm trying to make sure there's not like just like a fit to size. I wonder if crop selection will work. Yep, there we go. Click crop selection, and it will change the whole canvas down to the size of your image. And you need to do that, by the way. However, if you do want there to be some room for some like force fields or stuff like that, you need to give it about as much space as that. So we may come back in here. Canvas size we will increase it to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and see how that looks. I don't really like that, so I'm just going to hit Control Z and just stick with this. But you can go in and mess with that. Now, if you want to check your pixelation again, all you have to do is, again, add a new layer, drag it below, grab the paint bucket, that's selected, and it's looking okay. Not perfectly clean, but that doesn't bug me, because this isn't meant to be perfect with my demonstration. And we'll delete the layer. Now, we need to save this. Go to File, Save As. And this is the same folder it came out of, and we're just actually going to save it there. I'm just going to rename it to main, so that way I know it's the one that I edited. And we want to save it as PNG. The reason you want to save it as a PNG is that makes it so that the way you got rid of the background stays that way. If you just save it as a JPEG, the background won't come back. We don't want that, so we save it. Bit depth, I really wouldn't worry about it. Just let it do the auto detect. Hit OK. Saved. Okay, sweet. So now we don't really need to worry about paint.net much anymore, so we can just go ahead and minimize that. Now if we come back to our folder that we're in our game folder, into the folder that we made for our fighter, we now have 2 images. That's great. We can keep this one just in case, but now we're going to be working with this one. Now at this point, we need to have John's mod tool. So in my folder that I have it installed, I'll open it up. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. Let's shrink it a little bit. Can I? Oh, no. Nope, apparently can't. Okay, so we'll just keep it like this. Now, there's a lot of stuff on here, and it honestly took me a little bit to figure this out. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to... this is where you would put in images that you have. So if you have a normal map of your ship already, or the emissions map, or the rough map, you can put them on here. Now, for all I know, I could be totally doing this wrong, and you're welcome to correct me, but the way I'm going to do it, it's worked. So I'm going to continue to do it that way. So we click on Select File here, and we need to go back to our Profiles, Fighter, and we're going to select Main. Now notice the other JPEG in there is not selectable because it needs to be a PNG. So we select that, and this is the first little preview of our ship. Not much to it, and a little sad to be honest, but that's okay. Now, if we go to these instructions that we have, he comes in and talks about the different layers and what they're used for and why you need them. And you're welcome to come in and read this, but I'm going to kind of give you a rundown what basically all of them mean. But this allows you to read it in more detail, and he actually teaches you what I'm teaching you now. But hopefully this video helps explain it really well. So real quick, we're going to go, before we continue on with the mod tool, I'm going to tell you what you actually need. So if we go to our full build, these are the different images that you have. We're going to go ahead and make this big so that we can see it really well. Now, so you got your top layer, which is what you see while you're in game. You got this spec mode, which honestly I'm not 100% sure what this does. I'm assuming this helps with kind of certain shadows and kind of a thing, even though that's mostly this normal map. But anyways, this folder we don't create. This tells the game like how many crew members there are and stuff like that. This emit image is basically the lights, the fancy lighting you'll see on the ship when you're in game, which is really cool. This normal map is more of what kind of gives the ship the kind of almost 3D shape to it instead of just being a flat image. You can kind of see it there looking at it. I mean, if we even open it up and kind of scroll in, you can kind of see how it gives it that, with different shadows, more of a realistic look. And this is auto-made for you. In fact, most all of this is auto-made. And then this is the bottom layer, which is typically all green until you start adding like turrets and hallways, which you can see when you when we scroll in here. So that green you see is typically what's just back there, but you can see that we have hallways, some turrets, armors, that gray around. We got the shields, the whole shebang. So that kind of keeps the profile intact, and that's what the game writes to know what's inside. So now that we know all of that, let's go back to our mod tool, and we have these options over here. So first off, we need to make it the normal map, which is the most important one, and we're going to generate from diffuse. So if you click on this, Look, our ship is suddenly alive. It's something, and it's actually looks fairly decent, to be honest. I'm not too upset with that. Now, emission is not too much of a detail issue, but you can come in here and you can change these dials to change the way the ship looks. As you can see over there in the middle, we're kind of changing the way it looks. I'm going to take the small details down so it has a little more of a matte look. This we're going to keep there. Large details. Nothing too big is changing. We're going to leave it there. And honestly, you don't really need to change much of any of this. You can just go with what you have, and that's fine. And really, that's all you have to select. You can get more into detail, but I find that's all I really need to select to get this to work. And that's kind of the purpose of this video. You can come in and mess with roughness, emissions. You can make your own emission file and make it glow more. There's a lot of things you can do. And maybe in the future, after I get better with this, if you guys want, I will go into more details and do a little more of an advanced video on how to do this. But for now, all we have to do is hit export. Now, it's already at our folder, which is awesome. And now we just need to give it a basic name of what this is going to be called. So I'm just going to do, let's just do fighter. Except let's spell it right, shall we? There we go, that looks right. Now we hit save, and that's it. Now, let's go back into here. Let's go to fighter, and look at this. We suddenly have way more images to work with. Let's go back to our extra large icon so you guys can see it better. Now, clearly this is our big one, and this is the one we made earlier. Now, the mod tool made fighter top, fighter spec, fighter emit, fighter bump, and fighter bot. Those are the required images for this ship to work in the game. Now, like I've shown you before, in here he talks about all those different layers and tells you about naming them. It basically has to have that naming scheme of whatever you call it top, whatever you call it spec, whatever you call it emit, whatever you call it bump, whatever you call it bottom or bot. And essentially at this point we need to delete these two files. So let's just go ahead and delete these two files right now. And you can move them somewhere else to be safe if you want. But we're just going to delete them. Now if you come in here and you see something in here and you kind of want to edit it yourself, feel free to edit it. Just make sure that if you resize something or you add a pixel, make sure you're trying your best to make sure you're doing it to every single image, especially if you're resizing. If you're resizing, it has to resize on every single image. But this is all we're going to do. So at this point, we are good. We go to profiles, we have fighter in here, and we're good to go to launch our game. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the game from Steam. Okay, so now that it's launched, we can come in here to select profile. And this is where your profiles, and look at that, there's our ship, along with all of our other ones. We can now come into fighter, select fighter, exit, and design ship, and we now have this fancy area where we can now add things. And just to show it to you, beforehand, this is all green. You can see it's all green right now. We can let's add some stuff just so I can show you. It's not going to be functional or anything. Add a cockpit. Let's add some hallways. Let's add big old generators. This is just so not usable. How big of an engine can we actually fit in this area? Ooh, there we go. So this is actually a fairly decent sized ship. This isn't as small as I thought it was going to be. So if you're like, oh man, that's way too big, I didn't want it that big, you can go back in, resize your images, and try to make it smaller and edit it, if you know what I mean. Which is why it's sometimes a good idea to keep those files that I deleted so you can go back to those original files and change it and stuff like that. But essentially if we hit save here, exit, we can actually come back into here and look at what has changed. we now have more color, so the profile was saved. But that's essentially all you have to do to add something. Now, I've already added it before as a test, so I'm going to show you one that's somewhat functional. It's a little bit of overkill in a lot of places, but I had some fun. And so now, just to prove to you that it works, you can go into test ship, and you now have this cool little fighter. This one didn't turn out as well as the one we just made, in my opinion, but it was a little bit smaller and more the size I wanted. But it is a functioning ship, and so it does work. Other than that, the only thing I wanted to tell you is that if you come in here and you want to mimic or slightly modify a hull that already exists, the only way you're going to find it is in here. Now, to get ships in here, you need to go to select profile and create a new profile and select the hull that you want to change, so that way it's available to you. So we definitely don't have access to, let's say, this one, because if you look over here, it's just not over here and we can't find it. So if we make a new profile, we'll just call it modify, because we can. We hit confirm, save, exit. We go back to our game folder. We now have modify, and now we have this hull that we can go in and edit and change the way we want to. So that's how you get the profiles. Other than that, I don't know how to get those profiles. If there is a way, hopefully I'll find it, or you guys will let me know. If you want to upload it, all you have to do is select upload mod, and he has this pretty intuitive UI here to upload. Basically, choose your directory, go to your profile, which it kind of already has open for you. Select profiles, and then select the one you want. So we made fighter. Hit OK, and then there's other things that you can add. I'm going to try to learn more about this, and maybe I'll go into more detail on how to upload very properly to the workshop. I'm sure there's a much more proper way, but that's essentially how you would do it. Is you come in here, and you guys are welcome to figure it out yourselves, or you can wait till I make a video about it. If you do want a video about it, please let me know, so that way I can do it sooner than later. But other than that, I don't want to go into too much of other stuff about the workshop, because I feel like that should be in a separate video. But that is basically how you create your own ship. Hopefully we'll do more in the future. If you guys would like, I'll do a more in-depth one where we kind of maybe make our own custom one. Maybe I'll make a ship out of my logo. That'd be kind of fun. I just barely thought of that. That could be a very fun thing to do. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. I should definitely do that. Maybe we'll make a video about that. What do you guys think? Would that be fun? But other than that, that's how you do it. And I hope you guys go out there and have lots of fun. Just be sure that if you don't know quite what you're doing, you're welcome to download just an image and have fun creating, and then modify it from there if you so choose. But either way, I hope you guys have lots of fun with this and create really cool things. I hope to see some of your stuff in the workshops. It's got a few things in there anyways, and I will be sure to link this page right here that has a link to everything you will need in the description below. It'll probably be below my Steam group page link. And other than that, go out there and create awesome ships, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.